is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan mit der Gevre, Farbrengan mit der Rebe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi chadi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi chadi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, 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 oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit der Rebbe Farbrengan. Vadde in a vadde in a vadde in a vadde Farbrengan. Vadde in a vadde in a vadde in a vadde Farbrengan. In a vadde 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 Farbrengan. In a vadde 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 Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan wil Farbrengan. Laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Met de Gevre Farbrengan. Gevre Farbrengan. Oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Met de Rebbe Farbrengan. Dat is nice. De Rebbe doet, de Gevre zijn doen, jeder doet. Oké, laat me Farbrengan. Farbrengan met de Gevre, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan met de Gevre, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Avade. Yisro en wei oi reiso, bekitcho berichi chadi. Yisro en wei oi reiso, bekitcho berichi. Yisro en wei oi reiso, bekitcho berichi chadi. Yisro en wei oi reiso, bekitcho berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh jederlich Farbrengan. 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 Farbrengan mit de Gevre, Farbrengan mit de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan mit de Gevre, Farbrengan mit de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi chadi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi chadi. Is er nur ein Wei, oi reiso. Bekitcho verichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit de Gevre Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de Rebbe Farbrengan. Vadde in a vadde in a vadde in a vadde Farbrengan. Vadde in a vadde in a vadde in a vadde Farbrengan. In a vadde 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 Farbrengan. In a vadde 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 Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan wil Farbrengan. Laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Met de Gevre Farbrengan. Gevre Farbrengan. Oh jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. Met de Rebbe Farbrengan. Dat is nice. De Rebbe doet, de Gevre zijn doen, jeder doet. Oké, laat me Farbrengan. Farbrengan met de Gevre, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan met de Gevre, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade. bist du. Aval. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. 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 Farbrengan mit de gevre, Farbrengan mit de rebbe. Avade in avade, is der aie bist du. Farbrengan mit de gevre, Farbrengan mit de rebbe. Avade in avade, is der aie bist du. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit de gevre Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit de rebbe Farbrengan. Vadde in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. Vadde in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. In avade in avade in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. In avade in avade in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Di-di-da-da, ay ay ay. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de gevre Farbrengan. Gevre Farbrengan, oh yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de rebbe Farbrengan. Dat is nice. De rebbe doet, de gevre zijn aan doen, jeder doet. Oké, laat me Farbrengan. Farbrengan met de gevre, Farbrengan met de rebbe. Avade in avade is der ai bist du. Farbrengan met de gevre, Farbrengan met de rebbe. Avade in avade is der ai bist du. Avade. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. 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 Farbrengan met de gevre, Farbrengan met de rebbe. Avade in avade, is der aie bist du. Farbrengan met de gevre, Farbrengan met de rebbe. Avade in avade, is der aie bist du. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Is er no eine way oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de gevre Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de rebbe Farbrengan. Vadde in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. Vadde in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. In avade in avade in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. In avade in avade in avade in avade in avade Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Di-di-da-da, ay ay ay. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan. du, de Gever zijn du, jeder du, okay. Lass me Farbrengan. Farbrengan mit de Gever, Farbrengan mit der Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan mit de Gever, Farbrengan mit der Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Avade. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. 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 Farbrengan mit de Gever, Farbrengan mit de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan mit de Gever, Farbrengan mit de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit de Gever Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, mit de Rebbe Farbrengan. Vadde in Avade in Avade in Avade Farbrengan. Vadde in Avade in Avade in Avade Farbrengan. In Avade in Avade in Avade in Avade in Avade Farbrengan. In Avade in Avade in Avade in Avade in Avade Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Ay ay ay. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan wil, Farbrengan, laat me naar de Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oh yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de Gever Farbrengan. Gever Farbrengan, oh yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, met de Rebbe Farbrengan. Dat is nice. De Rebbe doet, de Gever zijn doet, jeder doet, oké. Laat me Farbrengan. Farbrengan met de Gever, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan met de Gever, Farbrengan met de Rebbe. Avade in Avade is der Ei bist du. Avade. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi chadi. Yisro elevei oi reiso, bekitshu berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi yidelig Farbrengan. Farbrengan.
The Rebbe Rashab decided to open up a new yeshiva system called Temimei, where they would learn Nigla and Hasidus, as is well known. And last year, we decided to move our gala banquet from Chai Elul to the 15th of Elul because of this incident that the Rebbe came down to 770. I think it was in 1987, late into the Nesias, which means people didn't get the memo for quite some time. And he was shocked, and he said in a very intense way that it's one thing if the world is not on fire with the celebration of the founding of Temimei Temimei, but in 770, it has to be on fire. And so quickly the Bachrim put themselves together and organized the Farbrengan, but this time you got to plan. You got to plan these things out. You got to put tablecloths on the tables and candles on the tables and bring special Rabbanim. So we decided, being that we are Baruch Hashem Temimei Temimei Ir HaKodesh Tzfat, special branch, the special forces of Temimei Temimei, that we are going to center our gala around this holy day in order as well to give everyone a chance to enter into Temimei Temimei in order to celebrate this awesome day with us. So we welcome you, and we're going to have a night of exciting inspiration, B'ezrat Hashem, and Divrei Torah and Yitzorus. And to get us started, we're going to have opening remarks from Rabbi Goldstein. Rabbi Yaakov Goldstein, Baruch Hashem, is our dearest teacher of halacha, and Baruch Hashem, not only our teacher of halacha, but thank God, he's well known throughout all the cosmos as the teacher of halacha and a beloved rabbi. If you'll share a few words with us. Thank you. I guess you have to stand kind of over here near the mic.
Not by the stender?
I'll move the stender a little bit because the mic doesn't make it.
L'chaim, l'chaim. I said a bracha before. L'chaim l'bracha. So I'm going to make my words a little brief, which is usually a warning for a very long speech, by the way. And, okay, that was supposed to be funny. I'm going to make my words brief. First of all, I want to wish everybody, all Klal Yisrael, but everyone here in particular, good gebenst Yar. And that especially bracha l'reish mashbir, that the Eibishter should provide the hanhala, the management, the Rosh Yeshiva, and all the Tzevet HaRuchni and the Tmimim. Hatzlacha, each one in their field, those that have to be successful in being megayis ksafim, to bring in money to support the yeshiva, those who have to give money to support the yeshiva, those who have to teach those in the yeshiva, and those who have to be the ones being taught in the yeshiva. Hashem should give them hatzlacha rabu muflaga. This day of the 15th of Elul is the day that this whole idea of a Temimei Temimei Chabad Yeshiva started. So I want to share with you the following points regarding the function, purpose, foundation of Temimei Temimei and how it's different. We welcome Rabbi Gafni. And how it is different than the other yeshivas that existed then. The Rebbe Rashab founded Temimei Temimei on the 15th of Elul in the year Tafresh Nun Zayin, that's 1897, and the first Seder of learning began on Chai Elul. 2 years later, on Simchas Torah Tafresh Nun Tes, the Rebbe Rashab said that they didn't have a name. There was no name yet. That the name of the yeshiva is going to be Temimei Temimei, from the words that we say in Akafis, Temimei Temimei Haishiana. And he said that the reason why we're calling Temimei Temimei is because the pasuk in Tehillim, Teiras Hashem Temima, another famous song they sing. The Litvish verses in Teiras Hashem Temima. Chabad shuls, they don't sing it so much, but in any event, Teiras Hashem Temima, and said the Rebbe Rashab, that refers to Teiras HaNigle and Teiras HaChassidus. In short, we can bring about this all night. We have many illustrious speakers coming after me, so they can be marchiv. In short, there are two fundamental ideas that the Rebbe Rashab founded Temimei Temimei on behalf of. And anyone who's been to Temimei Temimei, once a Tamim, always a Tamim, and anyone who is in currently Temimei Temimei needs to know what is demanded of them in this yeshiva and expected of them in this yeshiva and the Nasias of Rebbe Seinu Nesienu, different than any other yeshiva that they're in. Number one is the Lashon Tamim. A Tamim comes to the Lashon of a carbon tam that doesn't have a mum. And the second is Mesiras Nefesh. On the first point, and we're going to share a story on each point. On the first point, the Rebbe Rashab, and especially the Rebbe Rayatz in many talks, explained that Chabad Temimei Temimei Yeshiva is not a college for Kabbalah learning. Kabbalah is very nice. We love Kabbalah, but that's not what it's about. It's not a university to learn the Spheres and learn Kabbalah. It's not even a university to learn Chassidus. It's a university to learn to engage with the Hasidic teachings in a way that refines your character, in a way that changes you, in a way that tames the Nefesh HaBahamis. So the way you came in is not the way you came out for the better. The second aspect of Temimei Temimim is Mesiras Nefesh, is having absolute dedication to Kiyum Torah and Mitzvahs, as the Rebbe Rashab once said on a famous Maimer, Tov Reish Mem Ches, that a Chassid, a Jew, has to have Mesiras Nefesh on Keitzer Shel Yud Shel Shulchan Aruch, to not compromise on even one iota of the Shulchan Aruch. So I want to mention two stories. The son of Yaakov Landau. So he brings a lot, and he personally told me many stories about the illustrious Mashpia in Lubavitch by the name of Rav Shulim. Rav Shulim, his last name was Vant or something like that. Anyways, he was cordially known as Rav Shulim. He's one of the most illustrious Temimim that came through the system of Temimei Temimim that are spoken about. When he first arrived, he was an orphan. His father, he was a Yeled Skunin, born for of his father. His father died, and he was brought up by his brothers who were very wealthy, but were also very secular. They were from, but they were very modern. They said, and when he came, they sent him to a secular school, in the gymnasium, as it was known back then. A story happened. He left his brother, went to his sister, who were more frum, and they decided to send him to Lubavitch. So he arrives, a 15-year-old bacher, to the city of Lubavitch to get accepted in Temimei Temimim, wearing shorts and a Yankee cap. Now, maybe today that's acceptable. I don't know. But back then, it was certainly not acceptable. Okay, he was wearing the gymnasium uniform. So when the Mashpia, head Mashgiach, Rav Hendel, saw him, Shmuel Grainam was the head Mashgiach at the time, who was in charge of acceptance, saw him. He said, this isn't the football. You can't come. You're not accepted. And he became brokenhearted and began crying tremendously. And when the Rebbe Rashab heard this, he accepted him into the yeshiva. And he passed away very young, at about the age 36. He remained in the Temimei Temimim the rest of his life. He got married and then came back as a mashpia, one of the head mashpia of Temimei Temimim. He was also one of the head chayzrim of the Rebbe Rashab, if not the head chayzer at the time of the Imam of the Rebbe Rashab. And the Rebbe Rashab said the following statement: the whole Temimei Temimim was worth it just for this neshama. Everything else is just profit. This is the Karen. I received back with Reb Shulim the Karen. And the reason why they spoke so highly of him is because what's the whole idea of sports? To win. What's the idea of winning? There's nothing greater of the Nefesh HaBahamis than Midas HaNitzachin. Me, I, ego. He came in full of himself. He came out full of everyone else. He came out with complete bittul. He was many stories with him. He was a chassid batel, not just to the Rebbe. You can have a chassid batel to the Rebbe, but he battles everyone else with him. So no one exists except for him and the Rebbe. He was mevutel. He was nullified. He was humble in face of everybody. That's the first story. The second story, Mesiras Nefesh, I'm going to make it brief. I'm skipping a few parts, but you can always look up these stories with more details and more accurate details than I'm saying. The Rebbe Rayatz, when he was in Europe, in Riga, in the 1930s, when he had to leave Russia, so they were holding elections in Stalin Russia, in Moscow. Elections for the chief rabbi. And if you know, here in Israel, right, there's always politics by elections. Nothing's new. It always had politics. And there was major politics of who to choose as the chief rabbi of Moscow at that time, especially being that it was a very sensitive issue because we needed someone who would stand steadfast against the Stalinist regime. So, of course, the Chassidim ran a Chassidish Rav. And Yeshiva Sabatka, who had many Litvish members that lived in the city, they were running a Litvish Rav. And so they were campaigning. About a week before the election, the Rebbe Rayatz, one of the Chassidim from Moscow, were in Riga, and he came to Yechidus. And the Rebbe Rayatz told him, please go back to Moscow and tell the Chassidim to stop campaigning for the Chassidish Rav. I want the Slobodka Rav, the Slobodka candidate, to be the Rav of Moscow. Yeah, the Litvish, the Misnagdish Rav, the Misnagdish candidate. I wanted to become the Rav. And he was, so he was shocked, but that's what he was told to do. This story, by the way, was told over by Rabbi Elkan's father, Phil Nachman Khan. So they came back, they had a big meeting about this, and he came along and he said what the message of the Rebbe Rayatz was. And there were three groups of Hasidim. A small group said, that's what we have to do. The Rebbe Rayatz said, we have to follow. Another group said, you must have misheard. There's problems with your hearing. You must have misheard what he said. There's no way in the world the Rebbe Rayatz would say to vote for Misnagdish Rav. It came to such a point that one person picked up the table, threw it over, or picked up a chair, whatever it was. It said, the Rebbe Rayatz gave a Heira, and we're discussing if to follow it, not to follow it. And that was the end of the story. This Rav was voted in. One of the Temimei was hired to secretly go after this Rav and see, why did the Rebbe Rayatz choose him? Why was he chosen over the Hasidic Rav? And the Rebbe, so what he's discovered was the following. He would help him, really in disguise as a spy, to see what was going on. And people would come in with different shilas. One of the big shilas they had back then, can I work on Shabbos? They had to work on Shabbos. You didn't work on Shabbos, you were fired. There was no such thing as not working 7 days a week. And the Rav would come up with these ateirim, this you can do the grama, this you can do this way, so it won't be the raisa. That's what he would generally tell everybody. Then there was a Tamim from Temimei who at that time was already married, a younger life with a family, who had a big, he was in charge. He owned, no one owned anything already then because the government took it away, but he was the manager of a big company. And he came, not only did he come to the Rav asking for a heter, he came already with the heter prepared. He already went through all the details of halacha. He just needed the stamp. Some people come to the Rav with a pre-prepared answer. So he came. And the Rav, so the person, the Bachur was there, he thought for sure he would stamp it because he's giving heter to everybody else. And he looked at it and he saw him and he said, I'm sorry, I can't sign on the heter. He says, what do you mean? He says, I'm sorry, there's no way I can give you a heter. And he refused to give him a heter. He couldn't work on Shabbos. So the Bachur couldn't hold himself back. He asked, why do you give a heter to everybody else? To this individual you don't? It's not right. So he said, everybody else are simple Yidden. They're simple Jews. They have simple backgrounds. If I don't give them a heter, the Rachmana litzlan, they're going to first of all transgress anyways because they can't withstand the challenge. And second of all, they're not holding on the level to have to be so machmir. But if a Tamim that learned in Temimei Temimei from a serious nefesh for Yiddishkeit, even he's going to bend rules, there's going to be nothing left of Judaism in Russia. And therefore, to him, I said he can't. So Chassidim say that when they heard this, they saw this, they understood the Rebbe Rayatz had foresight for why he chose him. So here we have a story of working on Midas, a story on working on the Siddur Nefesh, and I'll conclude with a personal story that happened with me and Rav Eli Landau, who told me all the stories of Rav Shilon. I was once giving a drasha on Friday night in a shul in Beitar Illit, and Rav Eli Landau was a guest for Shabbos, for Gimel Tammuz. It was Gimel Tammuz that Shabbos. And I brought up, it was a Friday night lecture that was kavua, that was set, and it was always on an interesting, juicy, controversial subject show up. Anyway, so, sometimes I can say some controversial things, as you guys may know. And so I said something that Rav Landau, who comes from, I don't know how to explain his background of a Choshev Gezra family, back. And he corrected me, but a little strongly. And it was okay with me. It was an honor for me. I was a little pisher. I was a youngster. So the Rosh Yeshiva is Meir, so it was fine. Anyways, he Farbrengan all Shabbos. It was beautiful. Matzi Shabbos, at about 12:30 at night, I get a phone call. Who's on the phone? Rav Eli Landau. I had no relationship with him until then. He didn't know me for anything. And he said, listen, I was doing Kriya Shema Shalamita a few hours ago, and I realized that I may have been pegea b'kvaitcha. I may have offended you in public in what I said. Even though he was just Meir and Indian, like anyone does, like everyone does, right? And so he said, I was looking for already 2 hours for you to get your phone number. And I finally got it. I can't go to sleep until you give me a chila. Think about it. Someone who's in his 70s, the Rosh Yeshiva of Temimei Temimei, someone who's from one of the most illustrious Chabad Gej families that exists. And he's calling up a nobody to ask for mechila because maybe that's what he's thinking about at 12:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. He has to wait so long. That's the effect of Temimei Temimei. That's the effect that a Tamim has to know. You're not here to be in Kabbalah college and even Halacha college. You have to learn Halacha. You have to learn Nigla. You have to learn Chassidus. But more than everything, the specialty of this yeshiva is for a person to work on his neshama, work on your nature, work on yourself, Be'ezrat Hashem, with Eibishter Sapim, with all the Temimei, the supporters of the Tamim, which is those who give money. So Hashem should bless everybody, as I said earlier, with Yeshiva. Have a good year.
Yeah. We have the honor and the privilege very often that Rabbi Shner Zalman Gafni comes and davens with us on a regular basis in the morning, even though it's not the easiest thing. And we want to thank publicly Yonasan for what you do to go and help him come, walk him, and find him a beautiful spot to daven in, help him with his tefillin, and enable us to have mamash a tzir of a real chassid, a real live one, that we get to spend time with, and in an amazing gift that the Rebbe gave us to have share experience with you. In addition to this, we even pulled him out in the middle of the night tonight. And Baruch Hashem, we're very honored to have Rabbi Gafni here. Rabbi Gafni's presence at this particular event is extremely meaningful to us on many, many levels. Mostly, I mentioned before that this is not just Tomchei Temimim, but I called it special forces. What do I mean by that? And the truth is that the origin of this unique special forces was led and head and pioneered by Rabbi Gafni, who opened the first Baal Tshuva Yeshiva ever. It's a very, very powerful and amazing reality to be witnessing history in the making. What's that? Yeah, with the Rebbe's instructive. Okay, all the sages are coming in now, so we have to pace ourselves. Remember?
I'm just for a few minutes.
A few minutes. But you have to say a few words at least. Okay. In any case, sorry, you caught me in the middle of another introduction, Rabbi. So give me a few minutes here. Give us a few minutes. I want to welcome Rabbi Chitrik. So amongst many horas that we personally received from Rabbi Gafni, because we're new at this, we opened 16 years ago, and there are only about 3 or 4 yeshivas of this kind. Why do I call it the special forces? Because the Rabbi Gafni told us one time that he was with the Rebbe, finding unique instructions as to how to establish not only Tamchei Temimim, but a form of Tamchei Temimim which is specifically for beginners. Tamchei Temimim is for the elite soldiers. We get the training to bring a student out of a college dorm and put him inside of Tamchei Temimim is nothing short of a feat of miraculous nature. And so there was a havamina, there was a thought amongst all of the world, and I still get this question to me almost on a daily basis, either from parents or from new students or from old students. Rabbi, we didn't grow up like this. Give us a break. Maybe we'll do like a part seder and we'll go and have a little walk in the middle of the day, and maybe we'll kick a soccer ball around. I'm loving the place. You're inspiring with chassidus, but you want me to keep the Rebbe seder from morning till night? And this was the question that Rabbi Gafni himself asked the Rebbe. These guys are new to this. Should we put them in the whole thing in the Seder? Maybe we should create a little sort of special schedule for them to get acclimated. And the Rebbe told them, no, they should be just like everybody else. What do you think is different about this Jew than another Jew? The Jew has a quality to bring out his inner essence and be in a devekas to Hashem in accordance to the instructions of the Rebbe 24 hours a day. Even in their sleep, there goes a chassid. And so we learned this lesson and many lessons of its kind from Rabbi Gafni, all types of intricate details of how we run this institution. You have to know that we got them from a cliche, you might say, which when the Rebbe is the Kli Rishon, and the cliche is also a shtickle Kli Rishon from Rabbi Gafni. And one last thing before I give him the mic and he shares a few words, is that the Rebbe told Rabbi Gafni that this type of yeshiva, first of all, Tamchei Temimim amongst Lubavitch is already sort of the pearl of all Lubavitch. It's the strength and the fire which gives these shluchim known throughout the world their training and their power and their devekas and their fire. They never really leave. In fact, even on the gravestone of a chassid, they call him Hatamim. He's a Tamim from beginning until end, and who knows where he takes that name in the higher worlds. But the Rebbe told Rabbi Gafni that this particular type of yeshiva, where you're going to bring chozrim betruva, and you're going to bring beginners who did not have a Jewish background, you're going to put them into this Tamchei Temimim. I'm quoting directly. The Rebbe said, this is the tachlis of hashleimus of Lubavitch. This type of yeshiva particularly, because it goes into the depth of the Jewish heart and brings back a yid, not in a compromising way, but to the full heritage which is his birthright. So we're very blessed to be part of an institution like this. We're very blessed to be in the company of the founder of an institution like this. So we'll hear a few words from Rabbi Gafni. He speaks quietly, so we're going to put the mic very close, and Bezrat Hashem, we'll hear a few words from Rabbi Gafni. He's going to have to reach. Oh, he's going to get up. Okay. Wow. You hold him up.
Yeah.
Or you could sit here if you want to.
You sit, stand. You sit down. You stand. You prefer to stand.
Okay.
If you get tired, yeah, after 2 hours you can sit down.
David, you want to give him the thing? Mine?
I think the work is worth how the Rebbe gave me the job with Yeshiva, and we found Yeshiva. It was before Asia Torah, when we were the first about Jewish in those room. And so how come uh, 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 out of the way a person like myself should be given the job of running the Yeshiva? That's what I'm going to mention. Very unusual manner, and that led to the which lasted years, and Baruch Hashem went until about 11, 12 years ago. And, that's the story. So what it involved is I'd been by the Rebbe in Topshin to Topsai, but the Rebbe took original Chosid. That's what I was doing. And when I came back to Teshuva, a few months later, I began the 60 and so I was, to say the least of it, without a job and without any special working in a he was a big intellect, and I was serving, but I didn't feel serving the purposes of the Rebbe and the Kiddush. And so, what happened was that Tokyo Cove was the Tokyo Cove, the Rebbe, the Master, Rebbe Noam Rosh Yeshiva from, how do you call it, Temimei, good. The time the Yeshiva studied good. It was an old building which they said in the war and the struggle with the Arabs and everything. And that was Temimei. That's where in the afternoon Shabbos comes the atmosphere of Eden attacked and you had both the dove and the whole and amazing. I knew some of the books, to this day. They were happening. Amazing. Is how funny is that the Shaila, what do we do with all the new programs that were flooding into our Mitzvah, the and, into Yeshiva, places like that. They were running with a tweaker. They killed it to them. And so Noam Trip, he made a Joseph Cash. He went Rebbe, and he to understand how Mefarish the Shaila, the Rebbe. And so the Rebbe answered the following. The Rebbe said there's a young man, he mentioned my name, Mefarish mentioned my name, and, and that was the surprise that Rebbe Nachum told me, God, he knew my youth. He was a bit, but anyway, he came over, he was speaking, and said that Farbrengan Zichum Matzia given, die Film, Niemand auf Yeshiva, was on Mami's base and the von all Yiddish around and those that he was given. It does keep growing and the high school and all that. And the fellows on eating from the ganze gab mir allein und mit der Ruf und Chabad, also zwischen Ausnahmen, das ist Dover, Hanoi, und kein Amish, es ist schön, 60 Jahre
English,
gedenkt.
in English.
Ich kenne dich schon. Ich bin gerückt von der Trödniker, die gesagt, was gesagt, sie ich nehme an, ich fühle, das Betrachten, was hat results in Yonim Bilti Stadium. And it does make it clear attractive and more Italian them shows when it does an answer. It's right and say here and those times mounted Guzman.
Say it in English. Continue in English. In English.
I'm not speaking either English.
English.
Hold the mic.
Sorry, Rabbi.
Say
it in English. Speak English. English.
Huh?
Most people here speak English.
Most people are speaking. Yeah. So we went out onto my Pesach and Monkey Guzman. I have your permission. I have the answer for you right away. Spot. You don't have to wait 12 hours. And Yonim said, yeah, how does it go? And he said, if it would be a tzivui or creative visit like a Rebbe does with Shittim, it would have been a party, but it would have been a tzivui to a Mikabel. Aber der Rebbe hat nicht gesagt. Der Rebbe will, du sollst das annehmen, das Schleimes, und du sollst nehmen, mit so ein Nefesh, alle Jungen was meinen, der Tag ist das Schleimes, was ich nehme es an, dem ist ein anderer Indien in den Ganzen. Es ist gar Fall. That's it's another aspect altogether. And so I heard that, and I spoke to the Rabban was leaving, and I said, "There's no reason. I already have the answer." And we sat down with the Rabbanim and the Mishpim and everybody that was there, and we seen them done. And I took on myself of the Shemayim עד מצוי הנפש ויד למעלה מזה, עד למעלה עד אין קץ. And I took it on myself, devoted to the Bachrim, and at the end, I learned with my Talmudim and Baruch Hashem, the Abishter created as a kesher between myself, which I don't believe exists anywhere, except for Yeshiva. This is and not meaning to be Pogea Chashon. That's how it all started, and from then on until I don't remember. I was in charge of the issue, and we have many Talmudim, and that's not to be told the story. So that's the end how it all began, and we hear watching that this Yeshiva should continue, and the husband of the Rebbe, and it should go and be Mashiach Tzidkeinu, Momein Keini Rashi.
You can sit down.
Go out. Hi, yeah. Thank you, Rabbi Gaffney. If you in the back there maybe didn't hear, and you guys don't speak Yiddish, then I just want to tell you that when Rosh Yeshiva and Tomchei Temimei for 40 years, 50 years, comes and pours his heart out in the neshama on Teshuva of Elul, you can be sure that it had its effect. So thank you very much, Rabbi Gaffney, for your powerful words. Baruch Hashem, we're very, very honored that some very special Hasidim took their time and decided to join us at this beautiful event. One such Chassid and rabbi in our community is Rabbi Chitrik. We're very honored to honor and hear a few words from my first experience, Rabbi Chitrik, when I came to Tzfat. I'm not sure if he remembers, but it was very impressionable upon me. I was learning in the Kollel Tzemach Tzedek, and he came to Farbrengan with us. There was about 20 Avrechim, and I was probably the youngest and the least experienced of them all, and I hardly spoke Hebrew, and I was breaking my teeth trying to make Aliyah and make it all work out. And I sat in his Farbrengan. I even remember what you spoke about, believe it or not. You're going to repeat it? It was shy to the Pirkei Avos of that week. I'm not sure, but it was. I remember even what he said. But what's really stood out for me was that he pointed me out from the crowd, and he said, "What's your name? Where are you from?" And he started asking me all kinds of details about my life and where my road to this particular Farbrengan. And he marveled over the fact that he didn't know me already, because when he came to this city, how many years ago? We don't want to necessarily remind ourselves. 1976. 1976. He came with an illustrious group of young families and couples, which had a special name and highlighted that the Shluchei Aretz, those that were chosen amongst the chosen to be sent to Eretz Israel. And when they came here, I like to describe Tzfat that there was chickens in the roads, no hot water, and you're lucky if you find a house with a roof. I remember that, and that was 20 years ago. 1976, if a chassid moved to town, you knew who he was. If an aspiring chassid moved to town, you knew who he was. So he was marveling at the fact that there was people moving to this town. They were connected to Lubavitch, and he didn't know them personally. So he made sure to find out who I was and know me personally. I want you to look around, Rabbi Chitrik, at all these beautiful families that came. They're still coming. They're pouring in. And honestly, where would we be if these holy shluchim did not have utter Mesiras Nefesh and build this city from scratch? We want to thank you. I'm often criticized of giving eulogies instead of introductions, so I'm going to pause here and just please. It's kind of an inside Lubavitch joke here, but here we go. Rabbi Chitrik, you'll share a few words. L'chaim.
L'chaim. First, I'm humbled to stand next to Rabbi Gafni. He's such a special person. I'm not going to eulogize Chas v'Sholom. The world, leaders of opening yeshivas, leading yeshivas, as we just heard. I can't believe to see Rabbi Gafni here with us tonight. So, I'm humbled to be even standing and talking in his presence. I must be very short because I have another evening to go. I just want to share with you 3 little short stories, okay? Personal stories. The first thing is that I'll tell you my first encounter with the Rebbe. And maybe I don't know if it's the first or the second. I'll tell you why. Because when I was born, the Rebbe was my sandik. I'm one of the 3 that the Rebbe was the sandik by. So, but I don't remember the Rebbe from then. So, and then after a while, the Rebbe sent my parents to Brazil, and that's where I grew up. And after 10 years later, my parents moved back to New York. And my parents moved back to New York, and an assessment Teshuva Tovshin Chof Aleph, 61. And my first opportunity that my father, Olav Hashem, had to take me to the Rebbe was ahead of Yom Kippur, where the Rebbe would be standing and giving out everyone lekach, right? Lekach is honey the cake, right? Yom Kippur give everyone a brach, machsim etoiva. When I wasn't accustomed to be pushed and sandwiched and pressed and crushed. I didn't grow up. I grew up in Copacabana, which had a lot of space, and I didn't understand why they're pushing me. Why are they pushing me? Why are they pushing me? Why? And those few steps from the house, the steps of the 770 to the Rebbe's room, took about in my mind. It took years to walk through those few steps. And when I finally came to the Rebbe, sitting in front of the Rebbe, the Rebbe smiled and said to me these words: "I'm sharing it with you." And he said to me, "That's why it's not my first or my second encounter. I don't know if you count my bris, my first encounter, right? But that was my first encounter. I saw the Rebbe, And the Rebbe smiled to me and said in Yiddish, and I would translate it, he said, "Was the erste Mal, wo du stupsach zwischen Chassidim, this is the first time you've been pushed amongst Chassidim?" So I said, "Yes." So the Rebbe says, "Was I'm b'shor teivu mitzlach." It should be a good time. So I have a special geschmack when I see you fresh faces, Chassidim together. I have a special geschmack. I got it from the Rebbe that as was I'm b'shor teivu mitzlach. I see such a beautiful crowd. This makes me my heart filled, and I have no words to thank you for asking me to come for a few minutes. I know to share this. So it's Yoshikoyach. Now I'll tell you one more thing. Another personal episode with the Rebbe. Fast forward 5 years later, 6 years later, I was due to come to Kfar Chabad to learn. This was a Tov Chobov. I came to Kfar Chabad to learn, and I was in Chidus by the Rebbe with my parents. My father wrote the note to the Rebbe, telling him that we already had a brother from the Rebbe to come to Teshuva to learn a few months in that Teshuva, a half year. And my father wrote, amongst other things, that my son Yosef me is going to Teshuva Mitzvah. So the Rebbe turns around to me and said the following. I'll say it in Yiddish and I'll translate it. I had a grandmother, very famous lady, very chassid, very from the Gurari family. She was in Tel Aviv. Her husband was the head of Chabad until he passed away in 60. And so the Rebbe turns to me and said, in Yiddish, "Du forstest zu dein Baba, you're not going to your grandmother. Du forstest at Yisrael and Teure Bas Modoshkit. You're not going to your grandmother." I was so excited. I went to Israel. It was before the 6 Day War, and I didn't. But there were so many things to see. I was so excited, and the Rebbe put me into the exact form. Where am I going? Get this straight. What are you doing? What are you going for? Get a bit of excitement. Do first in that Israel, learn about Kodesh Kiddushin. You know something that we're so excited about. What? Sorry. So the Rebbe said, "You're not going to your grandmother. You're going to Israel to learn Hasmodesh Kidder, to learn properly." Okay, I don't know how to translate Hasmodesh Kidder. So the point is something the Rebbe put me just to focus. What are you doing? Where are you going? What are you doing? Let's not forget. We came to a nice party. Farbrengan, Elul. Where are we going from here? Where are we going from here? Hebra, you're not going to your grandmother. Where are you going? We didn't come to eat the schnitzel. That was only what the Nefesh Habam is. Why are we here? Let's decide what are we going to take along with us after this. What are we going to take along with us if we didn't stay with our appetites? Where are we going? We're not going to your grandmother. Why are we here? So I want to say that when we finish up our Farbrengan tonight, before we go, we need to make our cheshbon nefesh. Why are we? What are we coming for? And what is Temimei? The day of establishment of the Temimei. Temimei is the day that, for the first time, after 150 years, there was finally a yeshiva where a person comes and learns, just to learn chassidus as a hobby or something a structure where you learn and you live as a chassid. To live as a chassid, not to learn, but to live as a chassid. And the Rebbe Rashab, when he opened the yeshiva in Tofresh Nun Zayin, by the wedding of his son, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he said very clearly that if you come to a Temimei and not with the proper intentions, even if you come just to learn, but that's not to build your home around the Chassidishkeit and making that your essence. He says very sharp word. Nene mitonu shaloi kadin. Nene is being. I help you translate. Nene mitonu shaloi kadin. He's being benefiting something which that's not my purpose. I always think when I speak about this to my students, I said to myself, there's a mother that wanted the son to eat, and he wasn't eating. So he takes a piece of bread and puts some jelly on top of it. Puts some jelly on top of it. He would definitely want to eat the jelly, the fresh bread with the jelly on top. But the kid, the only wants the jelly. He takes it with his finger and he scrapes off the jelly and eats the jelly. But it leaves the bread. Are we here for the jelly or are we here for the bread? What are we here for? What is the tachlis? What are we looking for? Temimei is the way we live. Is who we are, our essence, how we think. And I just want to finish with my last thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Just one thing. I had a student many years ago. She came from a non-religious family from a settlement next to Australia. And that's my beginning when I started in Beischana 45 years ago. And when it came to the 12th grade, at that time I was the high school principal before we opened the seminary. When she came to the 12th grade, she became hospitalized in the hospital there. And we all know that you need a high school diploma to be able to continue to the seminary. And boom, exactly that time when she was hospitalized, she was very sick. She There was a test, an English test, Bagrut, an English test. Part of the English test is that an inspector comes from Misad HaChinuch from Natzeret, and he speaks to each student a few minutes to see how they understand English, not just in the text, but to speak English. Okay, so this inspector, his name was Johnny, came, and she's in the hospital. She's in the hospital, and if she misses that part of the test, she doesn't have a mark in English. If she doesn't have a mark, she doesn't have a high school diploma. If she doesn't have the high school diploma, she can't come to seminary. It's a whole cycle. So after Johnny, American boy, after Johnny spoke to tested all the girls, I said, John, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have a student. Her name is Chabatzelet. Do me a favor. Let's go to the hospital, to her bedside, and talk to her. He said, oh, yeah. English guy, American guy. Yeah, why not? Oh, my first time I'm going to be testing somebody on the bedside in the hospital. Yeah, why not? I took my car and I drove him to the hospital. And I came to the desk of the nurse. I said, can you see if you can go into her room? Okay. So, and she said, yeah, you can come in. Okay. So I walked into her room and I went, said, Chavetzelet, how are you? I have a friend here that came to say hello to you. Didn't tell her this English. I said, and she wants to say hello to you. And he's also a friend of mine. He also checks your English. So he comes over gets closer to the bed and bends bows down. Chavetzelet, why? I don't have to translate. Why are you here? Chavetzelet instantly, without spontaneously, said, God wants me to be here. It doesn't come from home. God wants it to be here. He opened up his mouth like you put it in the baseball. Uh, like after such an answer, you can't. There's nothing goes after that. What? There's no conversation. God wants it to be again. Like, whatever. There's nothing what to talk about. And he said, "Thank you very much." And I thought to myself, "Wow, it was so clear." And because she learned for 5 years in a Chabad school with the environment of Chassidishkeit, that became part of her. It was so clear to her that, well, why am I here? Because God wants me to be here. And I thought to myself, wow, how it changes, how Chassidus, living with Chassidus, changes mindsets. And Halavai should be, this type of Chassidishkeit and outlook should penetrate myself and each one of us here. When we look at the world, we see one thing. What does the Abishter want? What does God want me to do? Why am I here? Because God wants me to be here.
Farbrengan, 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 mit der Chevre Farbrengan, Chevre Farbrengan, oh jederlich Farbrengan, 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 mit der Rebbe Farbrengan. Das ist nice, der Rebbe du, der Chevre sind du, jeder du, okay. Lass me Farbrengan. Farbrengan mit der Chevre, Farbrengan mit der Rebbe, Avade in Avade ist der Eibischte du. Farbrengan mit der Chevre, Farbrengan mit der Rebbe, Avade in Avade ist der Eibischte du. Avade. Tisru eine Wei, oi reiso, bekit scho berichi chadi. Tisru eine Wei, oi reiso, bekit scho berichi. Tisru eine Wei, oi reiso, bekit scho berichi chadi. Tisru eine Wei, oi reiso, bekit scho berichi. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi jederlich Farbrengan, 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 oi jederlich Farbrengan. Farbrengan, Farbrengan, oi jederlich Farbrengan.
who connects with this reality of what is important and what is authentic and what you're really doing here all the time. To be a Tamim. I'll give you a story. Rabbi Wilhelm was here celebrating Emunah Sheva Brachas, Emunah Yisrael Sheva Brachas. And Baruch Hashem, I had time to sit with him that I don't normally have. And I heard stories I never heard before. I've known him for, I don't know, many, many years. And he sat me down, he told me a story. And he said he was once in Yechidus with the Rebbe for his birthday. And he was with his father. He brought his father to the Yechidus. And the Rebbe verheerd him on a pilpul and whatever he was learning for his bar mitzvah, I believe it was. And his father came in, and his father didn't grow up Lubavitch. He was fond of the Rebbe, and he sent his son to the newly established Ole Torah. He didn't really know too much about what's going on, and his friends in the neighborhood were complaining to him that they don't speak English in Ole Torah. They only speak Yiddish, and they don't teach English. And it's you grow up the whole time, there's no English. They don't teach them. They don't care. They're just in Yiddish. So he didn't mind so much, but his friends were bothering. And he felt maybe, I should say something. So he took an opportunity. He was in Yechidus with the Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe, my son is learning in your yeshiva. And it occurred to me, maybe I should teach him English. Or maybe B'chlal, there should be an English course. And the Rebbe said to him, and Rabbi Wilhelm looked into my face and said this. I feel like he was saying it to me in a very deep way. And he said, who needs English? Mashiach's coming. And his father sort of didn't really register that particular answer. And he sort of went back at it. And he's like, but the English and my friend and this. And then he looked at him and he said, who needs English? Mashiach's coming. And that's it. And that's how he told the story. And if you know Rabbi Wilhelm, he's a Tamim. He doesn't get involved in this field and that field. In fact, if you bring up a topic which he feels is just sort of from left field or from right field or from outer field or some other field, he won't even give yachas to what you're saying. He'll just continue with what he was doing before. He's not interested in being in the field. He's completely a Tamim is completely, this is what it means to be a Tamim, completely involved in the mission at hand. My brother-in-law, Shraga, likes to tell the story that he heard from Rabbi Shem Tov. Rabbi Shem Tov was honored to be at he was one of the facilitators actually of Gan Yisrael in 1960 when the Rebbe visited Gan Yisrael. One of the 3 times the Rebbe actually traveled out into the field, and the king was mamish in the field. He went out to visit Gan Yisrael. And 1960, he spoke to the children. He spoke about the Baal Shem Tov. He spoke about Mashiach. You can read the Sikh. It's very inspiring. And this young child, he goes running over to his father, and he says, Tate, Mashiach's coming. I just heard from the Rebbe, Mashiach's coming. And he said, yes, Mashiach's coming. I tell you all the time, right? Mashiach's coming. He says, Tate, but he really means it. He really means it. Mashiach's coming, right? What's going on here? Temimei. I want to tell you a story. I'm telling a lot of stories, story after story here. Okay, I'll slow down, but I can't stop. L'chaim. Those who are even relatively close to my circle know that I have a pen pal. My cousin, who's 20 years my senior, who is a brilliant mathematician and a genius legal mind, and he's sort of on another level in intelligence. He decided, not a religious Jew, he's a self-proclaimed secular Jew, but he's curious Jew. And so one day out of the clear blue sky, he writes me an email and he says, hey, Shalom, how you doing? Long time no speak. It's 20 years since I spoke to him. And he says, listen, I've just been halfway through the Shas, and I got some questions for you. True story. We're now 4 years into this pen pal experience, and it's one of the big projects of my life. I truly enjoy it. I spend hours and hours writing to him and engaged in this conversation. The last thing that he wrote, I actually read it to the Temimei here. He wrote that Well, recently he's got into this project, this sort of interest in modern Orthodoxy, because he's learned enough Yiddishkeit to sort of understand what Orthodoxy is, but he's very quite sure that he wants to be modern. So he thought maybe this is an avenue, check out what is modern Orthodoxy. So he's been perusing through, but for him it means he's probably read everything they've ever written. And he said, I want to ask you a question. Lately, I've been noticing in these podcasts that I'm associated with modern Orthodoxy, they have all these videos of the Rebbe, videos of people being interviewed about the Rebbe, stories about the Rebbe. And he said it's all kind of very brand new. They're all hot on the Rebbe. I wonder if you know why. Do you think it's connected with the recent wave of anti-Semitism? And he said to me, the truth is, if I had to explain it, I would say it's all kind of favorable. And I would say, quote, Chabad, it's not as crazy as you think. He's like, that's what they're sort of putting out there. So I wrote him back, and I said to him, dear cousin, Chabad is much more crazy than you think, but it's nothing more and nothing less than just Judaism itself. I thought it was a clever line. In other words, what does it mean? It's exactly what I said. This father at that camp, he was telling his son, there's a Mashiach, there's Tchias HaMesim, there's a holy temple in a holy land that all the Jews are going to go up, and there's going to be special priests, and they're going to wear special clothes, and God's going to talk to them through these magic stones. His son heard all that the whole time. Why, when the Rebbe said it, suddenly Mashiach has come, he really means it. What do you mean? You were learning it the whole time? Right? And when you're learning it with your son the whole time, you're like, don't worry, son, it's not as crazy as you think. But the truth is, it's much, much crazier than you think.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more or nothing less than Judaism. Judaism is insanely radical. The things we believe, if you actually believe them, you are a mystic, you are a wondrous being on this planet who's totally different and other than anyone around you, especially if you're actually Jewish, even just Judaism, looking at it, but being a Jew. So to be a Tamim and to be connected with the reality of your actual life and your actual situation and to mean it, to come in every day and put away the field. I'm not interested in English. By the way, Rabbi Wilhelm, when he needed to, he learned English. The Rebbe made him a head sheriff of an entire state. He needs to give shiurim in English. But you're not going to go and looking for something else to trouble yourself with when all that really matters is to be a tummy. What do I want? I only want one thing. I want to sit in Hashem's house and learn Torah. More on this later. But in the meantime, I don't want to take the whole evening here because we have a few Temimei to hear from. And one of the themes of this dinner, which we're still building because this is only our third annual, is that we want to hear a sampling of the goods of our actual Temimei. We want to hopefully hear from one of our current students, Yeshua Menachem Mendel, who happens to be celebrating his birthday Farbrengan right now. This is his birthday today, and we're going to be saying L'chaim, and one of the inyanim of a birthday is that you have to Farbring on your birthday. So he's going to Farbring with us. And Yeshua Menachem Mendel is actually a second year. He's beginning his second year. I'm gonna give him all the props. He came here. How much a tummy? If you're gonna say if there's a tummy, I think all of our chevra can agree. We have at least one. He comes. All he cares about is what is on that page and the Rebbe that's speaking to him through it. And he sat and he learned, and he is about to get Smicha d'Rabbanan in just a couple weeks. And unlike most people that you know, they conclude their studies in Yeshiva with Smicha, right? By the time they get Smicha, they're like, well, that was good. Let's go see what the field has to say. Yeshua said, after a year of Smicha, now I'm ready to start learning. So he's going to get Smicha. He's geared himself up to stay in Yeshiva for another year, just to push it, learn Lishma, and to delve into Nigla and Poskim and Chassidus. And we're very proud of you, Yeshua Menachem Mendel. Happy birthday. Maybe you'll share a few words of inspiration with us. Over to you.
I'm gonna give you this mic also because this is live stream. Okay. I just want to thank Hashem. A month ago, I had an accident, and Baruch Hashem, I've recovered fully. Almost a month ago, at Rabbi Shammai's camp gone, we went to a water park on a Wednesday, and I was worried in the morning that I wanted to make sure the kids were going to be safe, no accidents were going to happen at the water park. Baruch Hashem, by the end of the day, nothing happened to the kids. We had fun, we were safe. And just before we left, I remember that I left my shoes at one of the water rides. So I went back, grabbed my shoes, and the guard told me to jump over the gate. So I jumped over, and as I jumped over, my leg got stuck in the metal, my hands got stuck in the metal, and I fell on my face first, concrete. So I broke my nose, my lips were open, and my teeth were moved. So, Baruch Hashem, they stitched up my lips. My lips are good now. They put a brace on my teeth are back in place. And 2 weeks later, after the accident, they shifted my nose back in its regular batachtonim. No, Baruch Hashem. I just want to thank Hashem that I really got off easy. It was an easy recovery. But I also want to thank Hashem that I was able to recover. I was able to experience what it's like to recover. Because the past year, and really since I've become religious, I've ignored the fact that I'm human, and I didn't believe in limits. I didn't believe in being human, and I was oblivious to this physical world. It's just pushing, transcending. So when I felt when I had to go through recovery, it was difficult to like all of a sudden stop. And I read a letter of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said that I am surprised that I'm surprised that you're saying this, because the Torah allows time to recover, and the Torah also allows a time where someone isn't able to do mitzvos as he would like, and someone isn't able to learn Torah as he would like. So you should recover. And Baruch Hashem, I got to recover, because the recovery forced me to get back home and get back to myself. And part of this recovery was also a spiritual recovery. And this spiritual recovery is explained by the Baal Shem Tov, the path to recovery, and there's 3 steps. The first step to recovery and healing is hachana, is submitting to the reality. I submit myself to the reality that the trauma happened. This is the reality, my past experiences, my fears, they're true. And I submit myself that I'm not going to deny reality. I'm human, I have fears, I'm limited. And the second step of healing, of recovery, is Abdullah, separation. That this reality is true, but it doesn't define who I am. And to also imagine another reality where I live a life without fears. To imagine a reality where I'm not defined by reality while it being true. A year without having fears. And I imagine myself I would be in 2 years without having anxiety, without having fears. 5 years without anxiety, without fears. Just being completely free. That's Abdullah. That the reality doesn't define you. And the third step of healing is hamtaka, is sweetening. That the din, the judgment, is only sweetened in its root. And the way now you sweeten reality is that you go back to reality, but you also bring that transcendent light. God. That just like when Moshe went to Paro, he brought God. He didn't go by himself. He was scared, so he brought God. You know, so go back to reality and face that I'm human. I have anxiety, I have fears, just like everyone else. But to face it, that I'm holding on to God's hand now. That I can face reality and not be oblivious of it while holding on to God's hand, and that's the sweetening of it all. And as it's my birthday, I would like to give you a bracha that all be blessed to be Makaba, playing Mashiach Tzidkenu, to fully receive Mashiach, the face of Mashiach, and that you all come into yourselves. Having a relationship with God and a relationship with the Rebbe is really being completely honest with yourself. The Rebbe has you on a neshama, so the only thing the Rebbe is going to tell you to do is to be yourself, to fully delve into who you are. So when you delve into who you are, you're able to get time to delve into other people. And I give you a bracha to continue exactly what you're doing, because God guides our footsteps to continue doing whatever you're doing. And just know that you can hold on to Hashem's hand and to live a life of simcha. And Amen. All the brachas.
Get real. Looking good. You wouldn't have to do the pitch. I don't see the big man.
Last day you told everyone.
What does it say there? It's a good time to just thank all the organizers of this event. Let's start with Eliezer, the cook, beautiful, and our wait staff, Baruch Hashem, Shalom and Yoshua, doing a beautiful job. My daughter Emuna and Sarah have beautifully laid the tables and organized the whole Irua, including, I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but it's more sophisticated than you think. They've got a whole slideshow going with the name of each speaker at the right time. I mean, it's professional here. And of course, David Collins has completely changed our entire ability to affect the world with Hasidus. You've opened up an online reality to us. I see that now Rabbi Kopel has been shooting out videos, and now Shammai began, and the whole yeshiva is essentially online. You can come, ladies. You're invited to YTD full-time yeshiva. All of our classes are online, and now David is tweaking us in ways that we can never imagine. So we want to thank everybody for their amazing contributions. Baruch Hashem. We're now going to hear from our alumnist representative, and this is not an easy pick, because Baruch Hashem, there's a good handful of alumni here and throughout the city that we're so proud of, and we feel, truth be told, that we had a small part to do with lifting and raising the spirits of the city together, of course, with Rabbi Marzel, where we all got started. And this particular alumni, Yosef Zohar Tutora, is still very, very much associated with the yeshiva. He's in our new Kollel program, which we opened up just recently, run by Rabbi Binyamin. We also want to give a round of applause to, say thank you very much. There's now around 10 of Reichim learning every day in a serious seder under your hashgacha, and it's an amazing thing to watch. It's completely altered and amplified the entire reality of YTD and the base medrash. And Yosef is one of the members of the Kollel. In addition to it, Yosef has pioneered an outreach center in Tzfat called Soul Springs, Mazel Tov, which is mamish a partnership and extension of YTD, and it's such a nachas, ruach hasidi that we have to see our students mamish getting the point, living for what matters and making changes. So we'd like to hear a few words from you, Yosef, and here's the mic.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yosef Zohar Tutora, and I'm excited to share a few words with you guys. I was a bacher at YTD for 9 months, and and before that, I spent some time at Darech Torah in Morristown. So I have a great appreciation for the Temimei system and for all that YTD did to support me in my journey and support me in my life to get to where I am today. But before I express the depths of my gratitude towards YTD, I'd like to take a moment to just share how I got to YTD and a little bit about my story here. So I'll take you back in time to 6 Rosh Hashanah ago, where I was a student at Arizona State University. And despite being born in Tzfat, I grew up in Arizona as, I'd like to say, a normal American Jew, which means I knew I was Jewish, and that's about it. I didn't do much about it. Baruch Hashem, we lived in the Norah most years, and that was the extent of it. Until one year, I found myself walking on campus. I received a message from my mom the week earlier saying Rosh Hashanah is coming up in about a week and we should get together. And it was a week later when I was walking past the Chabad house, as I did every day to get home. And I thought to myself, maybe today is Rosh Hashanah. She said it was coming up in a week. That was about a week ago. Maybe it's today. And so I stopped in front of the Chabad house and looked up on my phone, is today Rosh Hashanah? And it popped up, yes, today is Rosh Hashanah at the top of Google. You know how it gives you the answer at the top of Google. And so I stood there with that new piece of information. And like, what am I going to do? You know, it's Rosh Hashanah, Shkoyach, I guess I'll text my mother. But in that moment, the doors of the Chabad house open up. And the rabbi is walking 2 students to the curb. And he asks me what I'm doing outside. Maybe I'm a little bit of a security threat lurking outside the Chabad house. I don't know. Maybe he just saw what I needed. And I asked him, I said, today is Rosh Hashanah. Are you guys having any services? And he said, well, we finished davening, but come inside. We'll take care of you. As every Chabad house does. Come inside. We'll take care of you. And I step inside. And of course, they blow the shofar, you know, no short and condensed version, a full set of of everything right into my face, about 2 feet away from me, right into my face. And something woke up in me, honestly, in that moment. It was a very powerful experience. And I finished with that. I turned around. There was a plate of hot food on the table, like also in classic Chabad style. And I sat and I ate, something I like to do. And as I was eating, some students that are Shomer Shabbos are coming to the Chabad house and they start speaking with the rabbi. And the rabbi says, why don't we have a Stump the Rabbi session? And these students start asking questions to the rabbi that I barely understood the questions, let alone the answers. And I had never seen this sort of interaction before. You know, before this, the only time I had spent in a Jewish atmosphere, like I said, was lighting Hanukkah candles, or a short time I survived. I made it through a Reformed Jewish school, just barely. And that was my only exposure to Yiddishkeit. So to see these students asking questions to the rabbi so freely, and the rabbi giving such heartfelt answers, and then the students being able to go back and question answers, was an eye-opening experience for me. And I ended up spending 3 hours in the Chabad house just listening to these questions being asked. And when I left the Chabad house, I had planned to meet up with a friend. So I texted them as I was going in saying, I'll be delayed a little bit. So as I came out, I texted them letting them know that I just finished up. And their response was, oh, you spent 3 hours in that weird Jewish place? And all of a sudden, my neshama was really rocked, because I myself might have called it a weird Jewish place only a day or 2 earlier. But after being in there for 3 hours, all of a sudden I felt like that was a direct insult to my home, to my heart, to my heritage, to being a Jew. And that week I just decided to make some changes in my life about the way I was conducting myself. Nothing related to Torah mitzvot yet, but the way I was conducting myself. And you can say the rest is history. You know, from there, I started going back to the Chabad house for Shabbos, and I took things on. I started to grow. I remember the first Shabbos I was there, seeing 160 students enjoying themselves. And we had an amazing Friday night meal and Farbrengan and you know, this beautiful college Chabad house experience. And the next day I have to go home, or that night I have to go home, and the next day I wake up, it's just another Saturday for me. And I thought to myself, hey, there's like 5 students, 10 students that get to do this for a whole 25 hours. That doesn't seem fair. Like, I only get 5 hours of this. And I had heard people talk about Shabbos. You know, I was born in Tzfat. My parents had told me rumors of Shabbos. So what I understood of Shabbos was no carrying anything, and no electricity. So I just decided to do that, to try keeping Shabbos. And from there, when the rabbi found out after a couple weeks I was doing that, he really took me in. And, you know, they sent me to Morristown, they sent me to Hadar Torah. And Baruch Hashem, I had so many amazing people along the way who supported me and learned with me and really helped me get to where I am today. But at a certain point in life, at a certain point in my journey, I really had to step it up and go from keeping Shabbos and wearing tzitzit on campus, which was revolutionary to me, to really like living a life towards Hashem in all aspects, and really just jumping in and committing, honestly, of like deciding that this is it, and this is what this is what I'm doing with my life, whether I feel it in every moment or I don't, because of course I had many ups and downs in that time, but this is it. I'm jumping in. And YTD was a huge part of that for me. When I showed up to Tzfat, I've been told by many people of different yeshivas, everyone's giving their input, go here, go there, go here, go there. But the people that really knew me from already years before I ever came to YTD told me, no, YTD is the place for you. You're at Tzfat Neshama. And they showed up here really just looking to learn. And I had no idea if they had a bed for me or anything, the rabbi pastor would open the doors and he took me in. And right away, I was a full-time student, learning in a way that I never thought I was able to. Really sitting down and committing to the Seder, and mamish, like learning things that I had always thought were outside of my boundaries of learning. Those are for the people that have a leg up on me, that grew up like that. But through learning at YTD, I was able to transform myself to someone who can to now do things. I still am growing today, but to now do things. So I want to really express my my gratitude towards the yeshiva, the rabbis here who give so much to the Bachram, and mamish pouring out their hearts all day for the Bachram. And they have a beautiful way of being gentle and loving and understanding towards the Bachram without compromising on bringing the full potential of each young man here to the surface. You know, like Rabbi Pasternak talked about learning the full Seder, and is that something that's feasible for somebody who comes from a practicing background? But at YTD, it is, in Temimei it is, and they do it in a gentle, loving way where really like the full potential of a student comes out here. So I want to express my gratitude for that, and to the students here constantly coming in. There's always a new class of students, and that keeps me inspired. Like I'm learning here in Kola now, and it's the best place to learn in the Kola because you get to see the Temimei coming in and just having their whole world transformed and lighting up. And wow, it's a constant reminder of not only my own journey, but where I want to go, and it's very inspiring. So a huge shout out, a huge thank you to all the boys here who are putting in so much effort and transforming themselves. Like Rabbi Goldstein said, mamish working on their neshamas. I want to also express my gratitude to the Rebbe who cared about me and had a guiding hand in my whole journey before I ever even knew who he was. To the whole Chabad movement, to all the people in Tzfat worldwide who are opening their doors and helping transform neshamas all the time, and mamish spreading simcha, Torah, and doing everything in their power to bring Mashiach. It's truly an honor to be a Talmud here for life. So l'chaim, guys, to many more years of Temimei. May we continue learning with the Mashiach now. L'chaim, guys.
Here you go, take the mic from you. Shlomo, how you doing, boss? The origin story, before we hear from our next speaker, of YTD, I believe it always merits mentioning because it's a bit of an awesome hashkacha pratis. I do want to mention my former dear partner, Rabbi Gorenstein. He and I opened the yeshiva together 16 years ago. And now my sister's here also. I have to say thank you because she was our first inspiration and our first donor. She told me, I'll give you a chunk of cash. It was a pretty big chunk of cash. He told me, I'll match it. And we were on. Only thing we needed was to go around and ask all the other yeshivas in Eretz Israel. They minded. So we did. We went to my note. Go for it, guys. Went to Rabbi Gafni. Got my blessing. And then we needed the Rebbe's bracha. After all, a lot of his bonus and kavanas and hopes and dreams, we sat down, he and his wife, me and Ronnie, and we wrote a letter with our gartels on and ready to go to the Rebbe. Can we go on shlichus? Are you gonna give it to us? And we wrote the letter. We signed our names, and we opened the book. And what did the letter say? Just clear as day. Mazel tov on the opening, on the founding of a new branch of Temimei. That's what it said. So we were like, wow, that's crazy. So we were like, more than wow, that's crazy. We felt the pregnant reality of that moment, like the years were going to come and reinforce this moment. We realized we were in the middle of a moment. So we just sort of stumbled outside, kind of drunk on the excitement of the matter. We looked up in the sky, and below and behold, what did we see? The full moon. And we realized it was the full moon of Elul. And it was mamish the day of the founding of Temimei. We were like, whoa, this is crazy. This is mamish crazy. Right? That's how this is. So this really is this celebration that we're having is a celebration klali. And like the Rebbe likes to say, there's Chassidus klali and there's this Chassidus prati, Chassidus Chabad. We're celebrating on all levels here. And I want this year to give great and awesome thanks to the Creator for another wondrous simcha that came to us on this very day, just last year, right around this time, which is that, as I mentioned to you before, we got this letter from the Rebbe, or not the letter, but the famous Sikha where the Rebbe said you have to make a storm out of this day. And when we got this in our hands, we had tables laden. And we were like, we're doing it. Let's go. Bracha should be rolling in. And all of a sudden, we got a call from a Shadchanis, and 15th of Elul last year, Amuna was introduced. Well, the name came to us, Yisrael Yedid Glass, on this very day. And just like they've named Yeshiva Temimei on the 15th of Elul, but the first classes were on Chai Elul. The first date was Chai Elul. We got the information the 15th and the first date Chai Elul, and now Baruch Hashem, you're a year from that day. Unbelievable. So why do I bring this out? It's a personal simcha, and I wanted to thank Hashem publicly, but also to inform us and remind us that our blessings come from our hiskashrus. Our blessings come in an open and obvious and revealed way when we do what we're supposed to do in this world and cling to the ways of our Master. And so, on that note, I want to remind everyone what unbelievable bracha comes from participating and being a contributor, as Rabbi Goldstein sort of jokingly mentioned on his way out. But there is such a thing called Tomchei Temimei, which are the supporters of the Temimei, not only spiritually, but also B'gashmias. And therefore, I've got the names right here because I want to make sure I make special mention. We are live streaming this to the whole wide world. And we made a very, very special campaign on in the month of Adar, which has turned into an annual campaign. It was in fact Zayin Adar, and Baruch Hashem, looking for this. It was very, very successful, and we want to make just special note of a few people that really went most or nefesh to make it happen, and they were what they call the pillars of the yeshiva. They decided to enable us to make a matching campaign. I do want to mention them by name because we really appreciate it. We're here and thriving right now. By the way, I do want to mention that the yeshiva is booked. There's a waiting list. There's a kollel. Things are flying because you guys are learning Kadosh Tarich and the brachas are pouring in. Mr. and Mrs. Yosef Matisya Lisk, my dear college buddy, thank you. Yisrael Zev and Bina Rosenbaum was given in their honor by their father in the merit of his speedy recovery. Mr. and Mrs. Shlomo DeVille, in memory of his late father, Avram Chaim Ben Fishel of blessed memory. Mr. Sharuz Mangoli, Mr. and Mrs. now, at that time I think it was a Mr. only. Naftali Niem Kotko, help me out here. Exactly as I said. In the memory of his late mother, Christina Bas Yosef, and the new Stender, Mizrat Hashem, will be ready by Rosh Hashanah in her memory. Mr. Jeremy Michael Sharps, Rabbi Chaim Yosef, and Rebbe Meira Michal Room. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this one, but I'm going to go for it. David Bernstein, thank you. In the memory of Martin Bernstein, Virginia Lubkin, and Christina Bas Yosef. And this is really just infinite thanks and infinite thanks. In the meantime, there's a donor who actually is, these are the pillars, we would like to call him the pillar of pillars. He's probably been our greatest supporter since the opening of the yeshiva 16 years ago, unending support. And his name is Rabbi Margolis, Senior. He's also a rabbi. Fred Margolis has been basically to so many and so often in so many parts of the world an awesome and mighty supporter of all things that are good and holy. This base medrash we actually have dedicated to the memory of his sister, his late sister, Devorah Leah, and we call it Heichel Devorah Leah. And in his stead, because he couldn't make it tonight, his son, our alumni, our dearest friend, Ariel, Rabbi Ariel, who also took speaker here, and is going to be speaking a few words in his stead. But I also want to say, really, as much as we're honoring your father, we want to honor you, because Your father loves us, but what does he know about us? He knows that his son found a home. He knows that his son is Moser Nefesh for this yeshiva on a daily basis and in ways which are unsung and unseen oftentimes. And once in a while, we have to bring it to the light how much we love you and we appreciate your support. And we want to hear a few words of blessing from you are now a representative of the donor base, the pillars of the yeshiva, Rabbi Ariel.
So the yeshiva is called Temimei. Oh, sorry. The yeshiva is called Temimei. So this, because of the right, we say in the Haishana is Taimech Temimei Haishiana. So someone once asked the rabbi. He said, "Why? I see in your students, this like almost." In his words, he described it almost like a simplistic, almost like a naive look in the face expression. And the rabbi said, "No, what you're seeing is the lack of a split. You're seeing the lack of a shvira. You're seeing a wholesomeness. What you're seeing isn't a lack. Adarabba, what you're seeing is a mila. And the yeshiva, the purpose of the yeshiva, we've many of the speakers have spoken at great length of it. But really, it's what is to create is Temimim, right? That Nigla, Hasidus, Avoida, Abbas Yisrael, Abbas Hashem, Abbas Torah. It's all together, and this is what Shlichus is made out of. That to be, in the words of the Rishab who founded the yeshiva, Neres Lahir, to be a lamplighter, to be an illuminator. That you become in this place, you become so filled with the light of Torah and with Hashem's light that you go out and you're able to turn over the world. And that's the foundation of Shlichus. The Rishab founded, there's a few reasons why the Rishab founded this yeshiva, right? Founded Temimei Temimim, but one that stood out to me was that to create what's going to be in the future? What's going to be? It's going to be Mashiach. What does that mean? The world is going to be filled. Malei Aretz Be'es Hashem. We're going to wake up from this dream of Galus, and the world is going to be filled with the knowledge of Hashem, and that's going to be the whole preoccupation of the whole world. And that's going to be the main koch. So for that to come into the world, that's to come through our avoda. So it has to start somewhere. So when the Rishab founded the yeshiva, also as a place to bring the next generation of Temimim and of Shluchim, a place in the Dalet Amos, in the four walls of this place, would be a place where be Elokos Pshittas, where be godliness is the reality. And the world and all the must be conscious. The world is like it's a havamina, Okay, so if there's Einod Milvados, so there's nothing but Hashem's oneness. There's nothing but Hashem. He pervades everything. He transcends everything. Everything's insignificant in his infinity. Okay, then so what are we doing here? Okay, now we can talk. All right, so we're here in this world to bring that unity into the whole entire world. But it starts here. It starts in this place where you walk in the gate, and what's the thing that everybody's focused on is Elokos. See this, bringing Torah, davening, have a lot of fun, Abbas Yisrael, and that's life. Right, that's what life's about, and to become so permeated with that then wherever you are, that's what's happening. much of what we've been learning in the Tanya recently in the Gersa Kodesh talks about tzedakah. The Alter Rebbe is really emphasizing this point of giving tzedakah and the importance of it, the significance of it, especially to in Eretz Kodesh and in Eretz Israel in the Holy Land, and to be giving and to be increasing it and the strength that it gives to to Eretz Yisrael and to Am Yisrael with ever increasing amounts, and especially Elul, we're coming out from Rosh Hashanah, that this is a vessel that this brings a whole new light into the world, not just to make another year, but to make a totally new year and a new world that's brighter than has ever been seen before. And so all the supporters of Yeshiva are doing this, are part of this, because this, Ruchni Kashmias, Ruchni Gam Yachad. And David Anajar, he was in the Yeshiva many years ago. He came here last year for a visit and came to the building here. He said, "This is what the Yeshiva always looked like, Ruchnias. Now we can see it, Kashmias." And to all that the supporters of the Yeshiva, it says that that everyone who supports the Torah, that they're like enriched by it. But I'll take Aisher Ela Merosho. Don't read it as are enriched, but rather Merosho, that they receive from Rosh, from the head. So the light of the Temimei here, everyone learning here right now in Kollel, in the Yeshiva, everyone teaching, involved, the light that you are generating from Atzmos, from yourself into Atzilus, right? And then Atzilus is brought down with the whole Seder Shalshalus. It's not just illuminating, the people here. It's not just illuminating Tzfat, Eretz Yisrael. It's illuminating everybody who's connected with the Yeshiva, everybody who contributes to the Yeshiva, supports the Yeshiva in some way, with their money, with their time, their energy, their bodies, their souls. They're receiving light, they're receiving illumination from your learning. So the impact of the Yeshiva is actually far greater than we can possibly comprehend. Not just for that alone, but definitely it's beyond what we can even imagine. And so from this place of the place of Abbas Yisrael and Elokus B'Shittis, that you just come in here and it's just like boom, Elokus in the face. That is what will bring us to the true and complete redemption, Al Yedei, to Geula Amitis V'Shlema, true and complete redemption, Al Yedei Mashiach Kenu, through our righteous Mashiach.
Thank you for everything. So you're gonna make a pitch, I guess. I'm gonna pass them out right now. I'm gonna tell them they're passing it out as you're speaking.
I'll cue in the speech. I'll cue to that.
Fine. I got a few comments last time. It was a little bit too heavy. join our monthly giving circle. And this is really the bread and butter. These are the most important and loyal friends of the family, because it pays the bills, and it's really the meat and potatoes of what makes the place run. So this, we're passing out cards. Rabbi Kupel will give us more inspiration on the matter. But to please join, even if it's in a small measure, many of you already are, but you can always increase. And we're going to join the monthly giving circle, and we're going to hear a few words of inspiration about giving and the passion and the power of it from the rabbi. Thank you for listening. There you go.
Sales, we usually didn't warn people that we're about to sell. That's how pure of a soul Rabbi Pasternak is. Baruch Hashem. First of all, we thanked a lot of people throughout this evening, and I think it's very important to thank the person who is the most vital person in this operation, is Rabbi Pasternak. So everybody, a round of applause for Rabbi Pasternak. This yeshiva obviously would not have ever begun without Rabbi Pasternak. And even though there's been many people that have joined and helped and put in effort, some put more effort and some put less effort, but there's definitely no one here that is as vital to this operation as Rabbi Pasternak, and he should be recognized for that. And of course, as Rebbitzin, as an extension of him, as one person. It's both persons. It's really one. There's Rabbi Pasternak includes two halves. There's the male half and the female half, and they've both been wasted nefesh, literally. And it wasn't always easy. Sometimes harder, sometimes easier, sometimes more exciting, sometimes less exciting. And I'll tell you one thing that I learned from Rabbi Pasternak is dedication and commitment to continuously pushing forward. And that is what makes this yeshiva happen. No questions asked. Before I begin further, I hope Rabbi Pasternak forgives me for this, for mixing in something a little personal. My brother's young daughter that was just born a couple weeks ago, unfortunately, she's not well and in the hospital. And there's a power of a Farbrengan that it says you can give a bracha that has a very powerful effect. Therefore, I'm going to ask everybody to answer amen, that there should be a tremendous and speedy refuah shlema to Esther Bina Bas Chaya Bela. Take it from me out. I remember when I began at the yeshiva, Rabbi Pasternak told me that this yeshiva, we want to take a holistic approach. And of course, me being one of the, I'm a real extremist. I'm either a total frayak or I'm totally from. I don't have anywhere in between. When I put on my chassid hat, there's this old chassid from Russia talking out of my belly, right? And if I take that hat off, I don't know what else is there, right? But I don't have much in between. So once I get my chassidish, I'm coming. Who knows what I was doing? I was running around Tel Aviv making money and sharking people with the MCA loans and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden he schleps me into yeshiva and he tells me I'm making a holistic program, and I flipped. I'm like, what's holistic? It sounds treif. It sounds like the most horrible thing in the world. When you holistic, before you know it, who knows what we're going to be doing in this yeshiva? So it took me a couple of, a little bit of some, how should I say this? It took some contemplation to remember that we're dealing with Temimei Temimei. So the whole purpose of Temimei Temimei is a holistic approach. And this is very true. There's a story that somebody once came to a Rosh Yeshiva in a particular yeshiva in Europe and says, listen, I have a daughter and I also have a lot of money. And when you had a daughter and a lot of money, you would go to the Rosh Yeshiva and you'd pay him a lot of money and you'd get to marry, one of the top bachrim. So he goes and the guy says, listen, I'm going to get a big donation. You have to give me the biggest lamdan in the yeshiva. So he picks a particular bacher. He says, listen, you want a lamdan? This guy is the top lamdan in the world. Okay? Best I've ever seen. Haven't seen better in my yeshiva. Sure enough, the guy pulls out the checkbook and gives him a massive check and zero. And good to go. What happened is that they get married, and a couple months later, he sees the guy. Listen, the guy's smoking on Shabbos, and so he goes running to the Rosh Yeshiva. He says, "What did you give me over here?" He said, what do you sent me this bacher? He's smoking on Shabbos. What's wrong? And the Rosh Yeshiva looks at him. And he says, "You didn't ask me from a yid. You wanted a London. I give you a London, right?" He's a good London. He knows how to learn. You want him to be from Jewish as well. That's listen. I don't know about that. Huh? But there's somewhat that the whole idea of the yeshiva at one point was that we get them to learn, we get them to grow academically, and we did our job. That's it. We did our job. We taught them how to learn Torah. If they go somewhere else, it's their problem. And the truth is that Temimei was built as a holistic approach. What I really should have told Rabbi Pasternak is that what's the difference between all the rest of them? That's what I should have told him. He's like, a holistic approach. I'm like, what? So what? Now I'll tell him, like, so what? That's what we do. That's Temimei. Temimei is all about seeing the big picture. Taking a bacher and saying, yes, we want him to learn. But yes, we want him to be Yiddish Shamayim. And yes, we want him to go out in the world and make a massive difference, because that's what a true nation, when he sees that the world is stormy. Beepers are blowing up everywhere. And took you a second for that. Things are going on. Things are happening here. The world, there's a battle. There's World War III. I've said this in the past. I'll say it again. We're in the middle of World War III. World War III started at least 10, 15 years ago, when there's these battles, and the battle is not necessarily in the battlefield. The battlefield is only a small outcome of this, right? The true battle is in the brains. We need to fight with our brains. We need to get out there. We need to get out there to the whole world and show the world what's going on. They're confusing. The people are messing people's brains. If you're not sure, you can watch some of my shorts. The craziness that's going out there, the sugarness. They're crazy. They're nuts. And they're coming up with ideas that are killing people, destroying their lives, ripping them away from godliness because they think that somehow God is some boogie monster, right? No, you have to get out there. We have to make our message. We have to get it, because that's what the Torah wants. And that's part of who we are, whether it's putting on film, whether it's convincing somebody to learn some Tanya, to learn some Hasidus, or there's maybe just shaking the Jew and say, like Yosef Zoyer, just shaking the guy up and say, hello, knock, knock. Who's there? God, right? And he's like, well, you don't belong here. And then God says, well, I'm already there. I'm really the real guy inside of you that you didn't realize who you are. That's the God. He's right there inside of you. I'm only knocking on the door to get your attention, but I'm really already inside. And that's what Temimei is about. It's a holistic approach, right? It's not a Chiddush, Rabbi, right? Now we know. I took me a couple of years to understand this, but this is our approach. And we don't just take a bacher and try to get him to learn Torah. We don't just get him a bacher and try to get him to do mitzvahs. We take the bacher, we want him to learn Torah, do mitzvahs, become a better person. If he needs development in his midas, we develop his midas. We send him out of here. He's a different Jew. He's a different Jew completely, right? And there's no better investment in the world than investing in a Jew. You're taking a Jew. When I was talking in what do you call it? In Koila, we were talking about shlichus, and sometimes a guy would come up and say, "Oh, the shliach, he bought a $1 million building," and then the other chassid is like, $1 million building. He bought $1 million gravestone for the Rebbe. What do you mean, $1 billion building, right? That was the argument. Like, what's going on? What? So $1 million is so you have a big building. So we have some shluchim that they have 20-story buildings. That's what we're here for. We're here to build the Rebbe a tombstone, chas v'sholom. That's not what we're here for. We're here to build the Rebbe people who's going to go out and change the world, to build the people holistically, to take them from whoever they are and whatever level they are, and to bring them to the next level and the next level, and not just in Torah, not just in mitzvahs, in every single aspect of their connection to godliness, in every single aspect of being a good person, of being a holy person, everything together holistically will come together here in Yeshiva Temimei Darech, and we've proven ourselves, right? If you were coming to us when Rabbi Pasternak started, if you came to me, I'm a super skeptic. I'd say, Rabbi Pasternak, I don't know if you could do this. And yeah, you never did it. I understand for those of you who maybe would have been skeptics 20 years ago, 16 years ago when he started, but for 16 years, we're doing awesome. You see right here at the table. I don't know why there's more students here than everyone else. That's a question in itself. Where is everybody else? Who shouldn't be involved? If you hear about Temimei Darech and you know what's going on here, then you would know that this place is changing the world one person at a time, literally, and not just one person at a time, because we have many people here. So we're changing it. We're changing infinite times, right? Wow. There is no better investment. There's no better involvement you could be. There's no better way that you could show God, tell God I love you, than to say, God, I love you so much that I'm going to help take your children, and I'm going to help those children become holistically enhanced. Yes, holistically enhanced, holistic enhanced. There's no better way. We're standing 15 days before Rosh Hashanah. Where you're going to stand in front of God. Okay, you're going to stand in front of Hashem and you're going to say, God, I love you. I want you to be my king. And God's going to say, how much you're paying. Right? No, I'm serious. It's not a joke. It's true. No, what do you think on Rosh Hashanah? What happens is on Rosh Hashanah, I get up. If you ever see me on Rosh Hashanah, I always bid a lot of money. So I'm like, listen, God, I'll pay you, I'll pay it, whatever it is, right? Before Rosh Hashanah, that's a difficult time. Difficult because you're not standing in front of God yet. But when you're standing in front of God, He's going to be like, yeah, okay, you say you love me. Shkoyach. Let me tell you something. I learned as being married for a couple of years. One thing very important you learn in marriage that in your spouse, especially your wife, they want to see what do you say? You say, I love you. Shkoyach. What are you doing for it, right? Are you gonna bring me a coffee? Are you gonna help me out? Are you gonna get out of bed early when the kids are driving me nuts? Right? That's really. Oh, I'm sitting there like, practice what you preach. But that's it, right? The women know it more than the men. They don't. There's a saying in America. Money talks. I'm not gonna finish the sentence. But it's true. There's a concept in godliness. There's a concept in godliness. You want to talk? Don't talk big. Talk your street. You want to show God you love Him? You put down yourself. You dedicate yourself. You sacrifice yourself. You give of yourself. That's what you give, right? And there's no better place than right here in Temimei Darech. And I know many of your faces over here, your people that have already given in the past, and we want to thank you tremendously for supporting us and for continuous support. And many of you are already on our monthly donor list. If you're not on our monthly donor list, what the heck are you waiting for? What do you want to wait for next year? What? No, you go on a donor list today. We're going to be giving out cards. And when we give out cards, if you're not on our monthly donor list, you can just fill out it's very easy. You fill out the cards, or we pass and I can get a hold of you. Trust me, right? You know the famous story. Some rich Jew, he has a private jet. He's flying. All of a sudden, the pilot says, we have a problem, this and that. Before you know it, they had an emergency landing in the middle of nowhere in an island in the middle of the ocean. And the pilot's like, uh-oh, we're lost now. And his rich boss, he says, trust me, I signed one of those cards. They'll find me. Never heard that one before? We have the cards here, and everybody should sign them. And if you fill them out, it's going to bring you tremendous blessing, not just blessing from Hashem, but you will feel awesome. You'll feel so good when you see a bacher coming out. When next time it's not Hashem, when we have a bacher get married, and you're sitting there dancing by the chuppah, you can say, I helped build this bacher into who he is, right? And some of you might actually be marrying that bacher. So even no, I don't know who is. No one's here. What? There's no single girl. Anyway, Whatever it is, some of your, no, again, the point is that everybody, you'll feel awesome that you have built these people into who they are. Okay, so you're going to get the cards. Rabbi Yona's son's going to pass out the cards. If you're already on our donor list, this is an awesome time to say to the yeshiva, by the way, you have no idea. I could tell you, I once upon a time ran a moisid, right? And that's why I'm not jealous of Rabbi Pasternak. Everybody else maybe is, but because they never tried it. If they did, they won't be jealous of Rabbi Pasternak. It's not easy. But I could tell you there's no better way to say thanks and show your appreciation than when he sees that you just upped it. You were giving $300 a month, now you're giving $500 a month. Even $500 a month, you up it. Why? Because just like a job, if you're in a job and you work for a year and they don't give you a raise, you feel like, they don't appreciate me. Yeah, it's true. So you want to show your appreciation. If you're already a donor, you should make a raise. And by the way, even if you're sitting there and you think, I'm just giving my max just a little bit just to show appreciation, right? But if you could, even more than that, right? Because that's the way you show appreciation to all the awesome work that we're doing. That's A. B, you are connecting and being part of our work. You're literally making this happen. A car doesn't run without gas. A yeshiva doesn't run without funds. And therefore, you're making it happen. You're part of this, etc. And I want to end off by saying the last thing that I want to say is that the Alter Rebbe was thrown in jail because he supported the yeshiva in Tzfat. That's it. It's true. The Alter Rebbe was thrown in jail. The whole story with Yudas Kislev was because he was supporting Jews that were learning Torah in Tzfat, right? And therefore, there's nothing more awesome than this. And I don't know how many do we have some viewers over there online? Don't tell me because it might be embarrassing. We do. We have a lot of viewers. So I want to tell all you viewers, Thank you. Let me tell you viewers right now, okay? The people in Tzfat, we understand how holy Tzfat is. You viewers, you probably also know how holy Tzfat is. You might have not remembered that the Alter Rebbe went to jail because he wanted to support Tzfat. He knew. You think he didn't know that Russia was at war with the Ottoman Empire? He knew that. And he knew that there was a risk. And he knew that people didn't like him. And he knew that they might make up stories. He knew everything. But he said, I risked my life. The Alter Rebbe says, he's ready to risk his life to support Torah study in Tzfat because that's how awesome it is. That's how impactful it is. That's how important it is. That's how holy it is. All right, so this is it. I want you to act like the Alter Rebbe. Act like the Alter Rebbe and put all you got into this monthly campaign to become a monthly donor. Now, I want to tell you, we're giving out cards at the dinner. At the dinner, we're giving out cards that you can sign up and become a donor. However, what does the people do that are online that are listening to us? Where's the link? On the live stream, there's a link. Okay, you hit the link now. Don't wait because you might forget about it. You do it right now. You hit the link. You hit the link right now. I'm waiting for you. Hurry up. No. All right. No, I'm serious. They should do it right now. What do you want to wait? Hit the link. Type in there. Make sure you hit the monthly tab. Don't just do the one time. You want to do the monthly tab. And I want you to be moisen nefesh for this yeshiva because we are here in the city of Tzfat with the moisen nefesh. We're right now for Yonim of Torah mitzvahs, and the impact that you're having by supporting us is super awesome and is going to bring you, B'ezrat Hashem, God willing, awesome blessings. And by you supporting us in Tzfat, in any moment, Mashiach is going to come. He's going to come to Tzfat first, and Rabbi Pasternak has the list of donors, okay? And Mashiach is going to come, and he's going to meet. If you know how Tzfat works, he's probably going to come around where Rabbi Pasternak's houses, because that's near where Mashiach's alley is, right next to Rabbi Pasternak's house. And Mashiach is going to come, and Rabbi Pasternak's going to be out there and say, Mashiach, here's the list of donors, that these are the people who supported the yeshiva in Tzfat. Amen. Mashiach should come now, and B'ezrat Hashem, we thank you. I shouldn't even say in advance because I'm sure many of you already did it, but we want to thank you for supporting us and for being part of us and for appreciating us. And B'ezrat Hashem, you should have many, many more years and much, much more ability. Whatever you give today, you should have the ability to give 10 times that amount, B'ezrat Hashem, next year with all the blessings. Chasim v'sim tova, L'shana tova, Mesuka, Mashiach now.
All right, Rabbi Kopel, fire. How about a niggin, Chaver? You know you're allowed to sing the Alter Rebbe's niggin all through Elul. You can't just jump into it, so you have to sing some nigunim before we get there. Before we sort of go into a more informal Farbrengan through the night, we're going to, it's a very hard act to follow, Rabbi Kopel. So I'm glad I teach before you every day. But we do want to sort of conclude some concluding words. First of all, again, thank you to everybody. And we want to ask one more speaker in the formal sense before we Farbring through the night. And that is our beloved Mashpia Shammai, who actually also shares a very deep simcha with us on this day, which is the birth of his son Yosef Yitzchak. Right now, today's his birthday. And as we said before about last year, the brachas come down through your connection to your shlichus. What greater bracha can you have than your first son, who was born mamash on the day of Tomchei Temimei? So if you share a few words of conclusion and bracha with us, what's that? Well, I'm introducing it. It's too late. Yosef Yitzchak will bring during the Farbrengan. Okay, and then we'll bid everyone farewell. So, Rabbi, if you say a few words of inspiration, summation, and then we'll start informal. You already prepared, right? Okay. It's a big finale. Who else?
Okay, Yom Tov, Yom Tov. Baruch Hashem. Everything goes according to the Chasima. So, Ksiva v'Chasima Teva, Shana Teva u'Mesuka. Everyone should have an amazing year, blessed year. And we're in the days of Frierdiker Rebbe's Chasana. We spoke about this last time. We had a Farbrengan for Yisrael Nachem Elo's birthday. Frierdiker Rebbe got married, was Gimel Elul. The Rebbe Ashab got married, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis Elul. And now we're headed to tonight, Teshuva of Elul, the fruit that comes from this fusion of the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab. It was a gift the Rebbe Rashab gave to his son, Frierdiker Rebbe, on the day of the Shabbat. I'm going to give you a gift. For 10 years, the Rebbe Rashab was being conflicted whether he should open a yeshiva, and the Frierdiker Rebbe convinced his father to open a yeshiva, and that was his gift to his son on the Shema Brachis. And this obviously leads us to Chai Elul, this Shabbos, which brings the Chayus of Elul. We have a big Farbrengan in Yeshiva. Everyone's invited. Just a short stop. I mentioned this. Temimei was opened 1897, which is 127 years ago. And there's a lot of Chassidus on these numbers. 127. When Sarah Imenu lived to 127. And the Rebbe brings, the Rebbe Ashav's Mamarim, that it's huge. It's very significant. I think it's so significant enough that this year that there's wars going on in the world and there's so much chaos. And here we are. Yeah, exactly. Right. 127 lands. Achashverosh, it's the whole story of Purim. That the power we're in now, we're mamish living in a high time. We're all fighting a war. We're all fighting a spiritual war. And we know that the Temimei, we're fighting the ultimate spiritual war. We're called Chayala B'Stavim. Chabad is not just Chochma Bin and Das, which may sound very intellectual. Chabad is Chayale Beis David, the soldiers of the house of David, which is every single one of us. We're soldiers in the house of David, which the house of David represents Mashiach's revelation. And our job, the Rebbe Shlomo told us, is to fight the war against darkness, to fight the war against anti-Semitism and hate and separation and all that's going on in the world right now. What is the voice that's speaking out? Ultimately, it's Torah, it's Chassidus, it's the Rebbe. Mashiach is being scrammed in the whole entire world because the world is ready, the world is asking for it, and we are leading the way. We're mamish the soldiers that are leading the way. So it's very, very special that the 127 represents a shleimus, and the Rebbe Rashab says, what is 127? 100 is the shleimus of Kesed, because it's 10 spheres times 10. Each level has 10. Altogether comes to 100, and 100 represents Kesed. 20 represents the 10 spheres of Chochmah and 10 spheres of Bina. Altogether is 20. Esrim. You have Kesed, you have Chochmah and Bina. And Sheva Shanim is the 7 Midas, the 6 emotions, which represents the whole entire Shtashlut. So Moichin, to me, it represents a Shlemus and a whole complete world. Today, we're celebrating 127 years of Temimei in this world. There's a Shlemus of a holy Shtashlut from Keser to the to the Midas, to us right here right now, of celebrating a shlimus of Mea Ve'esrim Shana, Mea Esrim Ve'Sheva Shani, which is huge. Mamish a shlimus of whenever there's a new light that comes on, just like on someone's birthday, just like on anyone's special day, anniversary, or a birthday, there's a Chadash that comes on every Rosh Hashanah. On Tes Vav Elul, there's a Chadash of what it means to be a Tamim to do. And following up with what we're just making sure about the Temimei, which are the supporters of the Temimim, this comes hand in hand with the Temimim. And the job, the Rebbe said, the ultimate shlichus of a Tamim, a lot of it is expected of us. What is expected of us? But the ultimate shlichus is to sit and learn, to be in Zal the whole day. And as much as, like Ariel said, it's a hard job. You're taking someone who just came off who knows where, and he's like, come and sit 7:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. every single day, five days a week. Then you have Friday and the Shabbos program, and it's a whole thing. And by Motzei Shabbos, you're knocked out. And then Sunday morning, you expect to be there 7:30. It's a huge avodah. But you know what? We're giving the keiches. We're soldiers. We're soldiers. We're giving the keiches for this. The avodah is that us as Tminim is to be given over to the cause that we're doing right now. Being given over to the cause is called hanachas atzmusei, putting our essence aside to give ourselves over. And what happens when you do that? You create miracles in your life. You create mamish wonders and miracles, things that you didn't expect you could ever do. And I think you know yourself that if you've been in that place of transcending your own limitations and being like, you know what? Maybe I have other things to do. Maybe I do want to do other. Maybe I don't want to be. I'm going to sit and learn. I'm going to go over myself and transcend and sit and learn. You're going to see miracles. And the ultimate miracle is, the real miracle is transcending your own nature. That's a real miracle. They say about the Baba Sali, why was he able to make miracles? Because he controlled himself so much. He was so above his own limitations, he was able to mold the limitations of creation of Teva. Because he went over his Teva. When we go over our Teva, we're able to change miracles. Where we're fighting the soldiers and the idea of fighting in the borders, fighting in Gaza and fighting in the Lebanon and winning the war. Not by checking the news and seeing what's going on in the skies, by sitting, learning, and Farbrengan and davening. That is what makes us incredible. It's mamish. We have to have this in front of our eyes constantly. And every single thing we do, every Torah we learn, every mimer we learn, every time we daven and we put effort in our davening, every time we go on Mitzrayim, Fridays, and we Farbrengan and we connect, we're mamish, saving the world. Keep shooting. We're saving them. And this our ikar shlichus is that. Together with that, there's a huge chus for the supporters and a huge chus for the bachim, and not to forget the position that we're in, and to be completely given over in what we need to do. The Rebbe said many times that the ultimate shlichus for learning is even more important than going out and doing outreach. Although we're called lamplighters, the main lamplighters is by being who we are, by doing what we're supposed to be doing. And when it's time to go out of yeshiva and go do business or open a Chabad house and go teach and spread the light, then that is the time when the mamish bring out the light that you've accumulated and received in yeshiva. So it's a good time to say thank you. Thank you obviously to Rabbi Pasternak and all the rabbis and the founders of Temimei, the Rebbe Ashav, the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe, mamish guiding us, giving us koyach, and we should be successful in bringing the vision of Temimei wherever we are in your way, in your own unique way. While you're in yeshiva and during outside of your seder, and when you leave yeshiva, to mamish bring out, to be soaked with the light of Chassidus. You come out, whoever touches you, whoever sees you, mamish blown away with that light, blown away with the light of Chassidus that you've received here. I could only speak from, I think the first part of my experience is that being in YTD and speaking about alumni, and some people, most alumni don't leave YTD, not most, a lot of them don't leave YTD. And we always stay Temimei. It's a huge bracha to always stay in YTD. Work in YTD as well, Baruch Hashem, and it's been a huge transformation where not only did I personally take for my own life the powers and the lessons of YTD, but I'm like, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to apply it? And one of the greatest fruits that came out is Gan Yisrael, the camp, which is a huge directive, although it's the Rebbe's camp and it's been around for so many years. And this has been an inspiration for my own experience in the camp as a child, but really being in YTD, which in many ways, Gan Yisrael is inseparable from yeshiva, because it's incredible. I just saw the Rebbe writes about it. That what are bachim supposed to do during break? You don't have a break to go home and hang out and go see your grandmother. Go see your grandmother. But the goal during break is to go out and spread the light. And what is the best way to spread the light? But children. You go to your children, you spread the love and the light to children. And a lot of our Bachurim were counselors this year, and they were awesome counselors, an incredible counselor, every single one. And they all got, I think, much more, hopefully, than even what the children got, because the children had a blast. But each one of the staff that worked in the camp, the mamish, their life has changed, I think. I hope. I pray, because really you guys did an amazing job, and it's mamish a product. Start, and I see it. Mamish see it. Guys were involved in shlichus, whatever the shlichus was, especially with the children. You came out a whole new individual, and now you're like, it's like there's a whole new chayis. There's a chayis within the chayis. So we should all be blessed to take the powers that we received in Yeshiva and continue to receive, and now share it to the world. And you share it essentially in your families, in your homes, with your wife and your children, and all those who are surrounding you. And the shluchos that wherever Hashem, the Rebbe is going to send you in your shluchos, you should be blessed to take the juice of Yeshiva and bring it to wherever you go. Bring it down. Next for me.
Yeah, that was a good call on my part, leaving you to the end. Okay, we're gonna. Is Yonasan around? Yonasan? We'll go pick. We'll go. Let's go, my dear brother Yonasan. We'll grab the cards. Pick them up. I do want to give a special thanks to Yonasan. Yonasan was the best friend of David HaMelech, and you're aptly named. You're our best friend. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for everybody. This was an extremely inspiring evening. I'm just reminded in closing of the concept of balos chasaneros. There's a word that says, when I say balos chasaneros, what does it mean? You have to light the candle until it says, shaleves ha'olam me'aleh. You have to light the candle until it goes up by itself. And this is an idea that when you give hashpah, when you light someone up, you have to wait there and keep doing it. Like Rabbi Koppel was so kind to say these words of the dedication and the intense, serious steps that it takes to make a yeshiva. Any of these days, if I decide, you know what, this is just too much, I'll go to sleep, it would fall. There's a certain level of having to stay there and hold the candle and hold the candle and hold the candle until suddenly it's a light. And light means what happens next? It gives you light. Once you light a candle, then that which you were trying to inspire inspires you. You're now illuminated by the experience that you've tried to help to create. And this is what I've just experienced a whole lot of tonight. One speaker after the next speaker after the next speaker, just totally blowing me away with inspiration. And I can't thank you guys enough for just being in our lives, the staff, primarily, the students, primarily, everybody's primarily. And I want to give us one more little bracha before we go, which is that we have a special shliach, his name is Shmuel Andruzier, who is heading tomorrow to the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe in time for Chai Elul. And I imagine if you speak to him nicely, even those online, give your name and your mother's name. I have a hunch, knowing he's a mensch, he's going to bring our names over there, and we're going to have a special brachas for Chai Elul by the Baal Shem Tov himself, Alter Rebbe. And we're going to Bizrat Hashem be written and sealed for a good and sweet year in the book of life with all of our brothers and sisters for the year of Geula, of Mises Vashlema, Tekuf Mamish, Bizrat Hashem. Kan Siva Hashem Asabaracha. L'chaim. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Enjoy. We're going to bench with a minion, make a zimun. We have a Kohen here, so please join us for benching. Thank you for joining us online. We really appreciate it. Please fill out the monthly donor card that you have online. We're hoping to hear good news from all of you for a good, sweet year. Thank you. Hey now.
In a vader Farbrengan. Wadde in a wadde in a wadde in a wadde Farbrengan. In a wadde 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 Farbrengan. In a wadde 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 Farbrengan. Farbrengan. Ay 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 ay. Farbrengan mit der Rebbe. A wadde in a wadde is der Ei bist du. Farbrengan mit der Chevre, Farbrengan mit der Rebbe. A wadde in a wadde is der Ei bist du. A wadde is roe wei oi reiso, bekit scho berichi chadi. Is roe wei oi reiso, bekit scho berichi. Is roe wei oi reiso, bekit scho berichi chadi.